jadi penasaran saya temen.
Di belakang pohonnya kayak ada orang kayaknya.
There's pressure.
Echoes call from hollow halls, a voice that creeps and softly crawls. Time stands still, the air is
A YouTuber known as Kalong from Kalong Camp Official is no stranger to exploring remote, unsettling places. But what starts as a routine solo camping trip quickly transforms into one of his most unnerving experiences yet, one that even he wasn't prepared for. The video begins like many of his others. Kalong greets his audience warmly and shares that he's traveled far, deep into a forest so isolated, even his motorcycle had to be left far from the trailhead. The dense terrain forced him to continue the journey on foot. He arrives exhausted but excited and settles down with a cup of coffee. But something is already off.
Oke teman-teman, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat malam untuk teman-teman semuanya di rumah. Apa kabar ya teman ya? Semoga teman-teman semuanya di rumah selalu diberikan kesehatan, kelancaran rezekinya dan panjang umur, amin ya rabbal alamin. Baik teman-teman, jadi pada kesempatan malam hari ini alhamdulillah saya sudah sampai di lokasi ya teman ya. Perjalanannya gila, bener-bener sangat-sangat melelahkan, sangat-sangat jauh sekali ya. Dan motor saya taruh sebelah sana guys, jauh banget di ujung jalan ya, karena juga lokasinya juga belusuk-belusuk guys, gak mungkin motor sampai apa namanya kesini ya teman ya, karena emang jalannya emang sulit ya. Maka saya putuskan untuk masuk ke dalam hutannya sini untuk jalan kaki ya teman ya. Nah jadi untuk teman-teman di rumah, saya mau mengucapkan banyak terima kasih kepada kalian semuanya yang sudah selalu support terus channel saya, yang sudah menge-like, men-subscribe dan sudah meng-share-nya ya. Saya ucapkan banyak terima kasih. Semoga teman-teman semua di rumah selalu diberikan kesehatan, kelancaran rezekinya dan panjang umur, amin ya rabbal alamin.
As the daylight fades, Kalong hears what sounds like wood being chopped nearby, only there's no one else around. The deeper silence is soon broken by something far more chilling. The unmistakable sound of crying, then laughter, then both. Something is out there. He calls out into the woods. No one responds. The forest answers back, only with more strange disembodied voices, often laughing at things unseen. Though it's still early in the evening, around 9 p.m., the atmosphere has turned oppressively eerie. He says that the cries and laughs seem to circle him, moving just out of reach.
Apa namanya? Sampai di lokasi ini ya, tiba-tiba tuh saya kayak mendengar suara malam-malam tuh kayak nebangin pohon, dan terdengar suara tangisan juga guys. Apakah saya dengar ya? Terdengar jelas suara merintih. Siapa ya? Woi. Siapa lu? Aneh banget teman. Ini bener-bener aneh ya. Padahal saya juga belum menceritakan histori guys. Tapi dari tadi saya mendengar suara tangisan dan suara-suara aneh lainnya ya temennya. Tuh denger, kayak ada yang nangis, kayak ada yang ketawa loh nih. Siapa ya? Woi.
The forest itself seems hostile. Kalong hears crashing branches, what might be trees being cut, and strange animalistic cries, but never spots a person or animal to match the sounds. He starts to sweat and shiver from fear, but instead of fleeing, he presses deeper in. He then shares something the local villagers warned him about. The area is rumored to be cursed. One story in particular stands out. A tapper collecting coconut sap from a tall palm tree fell to his death. Not only did he fall, but his neck was impaled by the branches on his way down. It was said the man died instantly, and ever since, terrifying apparitions have haunted the site.
Dan saya juga dapat kabar juga saya dapat kabar ya sekitar 1 minggu yang lalu bahwasanya ada seseorang ya yang profesinya itu adalah tukang deres ya guys ya, tukang deres ya, ambil apa namanya getah untuk buat bikin gula Jawa guys. Tahu gula Jawa enggak ya? Nah jadi tuh naik pohon kelapa. Nah ini pohonnya tuh di belakang saya persis tuh guys tuh ya, sebelah situ tuh ada pohon kelapa ini. Nah jadi tuh naik ke atas pohon kelapa sekitar jam 4 sore ya, karena emang profesinya sebagai tukang deres dan dia ngecek atau ngambil getahnya itu untuk bikin apa gula ya guys ya. Bahwasanya dia sempat jatuh ya, sempat jatuh dan kepalanya dulu guys, dan lehernya itu lehernya itu sampai ketancap pohon temen, dan ini sampai ketancap pohon, dan itu juga ini lehernya itu sampai patah guys ya. Astagfirullahaladzim.
Kalong then shows the exact tree. He explains that more recently, a man who owns land nearby came here to plant new trees, but he didn't last long. Within 2 days, he returned in terror. After seeing a headless figure walking near the palms, he fled and has never returned since, abandoning the land entirely. Suddenly, Kalong smells something foul, rotting flesh. He begins to panic. This is no longer psychological fear. Something is physically present. He again hears the voices, cries, laughs, and just when it seems things can't get worse, something grabs him. A cold, unseen force pulls at his body, yanking him to the side. He stumbles back in fear. He pleads aloud, unsure if he's addressing a spirit, an animal, or something more sinister.
Ini jadi penasaran saya temen, dengan banyaknya suara ya, nggak tahu itu suara apa, tapi yang jelas astagfirullahaladzim, bau wangi, ini rejunun. Aduh, jancok. Hei, siapa ya? Ada yang nyari saya guys. Ada yang narik saya barusan. Aduh, sinten nggih?
Despite the physical contact and the growing dread, Kalong doesn't pack up. He moves back to camp, trying to stay calm by cooking a simple meal. But even during his meal, the disturbances continue. Kalong continues to hear laughter, now louder and closer. He wraps up his meal, clearly shaken. From warm greetings to physical encounters with the unexplained, this video is a slow burn descent into psychological horror. What did you make of this encounter? Let me know. Before we go any further, I just want to ask you for a small favor. If you're enjoying the video so far, please give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. We recently hit 100,000 subscribers, and that's all thanks to you. Our 100K special surprise was revealed, and we had many positive responses from you. Our next goal is to hit 200K before the year ends. It feels impossible, but hey, it's free to dream, right? Also, there's a hidden word somewhere in this video for you. Let's see if you can find it. Now, back to the video. In late July 2025, a wilderness researcher behind the channel Swan Lake Bigfoot returned to the deep woods of Seven Creeks, a forested region known for unusual activity and alleged Bigfoot encounters. The trip was planned as a 2-day solo excursion with the goal of revisiting prior gifting sites and tracking evidence in the same locations where unexplained phenomena had previously occurred. From the beginning, the environment was noticeably different. A light mist rolled in, and an unpredicted drizzle turned the trails slick and difficult.
Seven Creeks, we're here, Seven Creeks. I want to make this a 2-day trip. This may come in about 4 episodes. Today we're going to do the gifting bowl. Home, the sun was shining, It was warm. I was in a t-shirt, so I got to drive quite a ways to get here. Once I got here, different world, right? Different weather, different temperature. I'm glad I bought something warm to put on. But we're here, right? We are here. Okay, we're gonna hit in. I did do some whistles. I don't know if they can hear me, but that thunder does sound very, very nice. Okay. There's my little markers here. See my markers? Yeah. Little markers to the trail. Oh yes, cranberries. I'm gonna let you guys see where we're going. I will try less shaky as possible. It's hard walking when you're walking. I'm not walking on groomed, well-groomed trails, right? And it's difficult to hear from me right now. I don't know what it is. There's pressure. As soon as I got unpacking things, I felt pressure in my ears.
As the YouTuber hiked deeper into the woods, signs of past interaction reappeared. Red cranberries still lined parts of the trail, and markers left during earlier visits were still intact. But there were also new anomalies: freshly packed mud at the base of a leaning tree, wedged into the ground unnaturally, as though intentionally placed. It wasn't the first time strange tree structures had been noticed in this forest. Then came the shift. Birds that had been nearby suddenly scattered. A squirrel emitted a series of alarm calls, and deep among the trees, one of them began to shake. Not from the wind, and not from a falling branch, but with force. Something had grabbed it, moved it, yet there was nothing visible around.
I did bring 2 cameras, and my new extra battery here hasn't showed up yet. I checked my mail today, and there was nothing there. So I'm thinking after the weekend, we are sitting on Friday, just before the weekend, and all of a sudden all the little birds come flying in here, nosy to see me or to see who or what I am. Oh, okay. Yes, see? Cranberries. And I do have to pay attention for bears. They are starting up their mating season. They are. And they can be very moody at times. Okay, like I say, I'm gonna try to keep this, I'm gonna try not to have this too shaky for you. I know there's some people it bothers, well, it bothers me too, but when I'm editing my videos. Okay, let's see. All right. Oh, I'm gonna be wet by the time I'm out of here. I already feel the dampness in my pants.
This wasn't unfamiliar territory for the channel's host. Previous trips to Seven Creeks had involved a notable moment, an alleged sighting of a small, childlike figure peeking from behind a boulder after a toy was left as a gift. The event was subtle, but meaningful. The gift offering continued on this return trip as well. A small bowl filled with food was placed near the same area. The surrounding woods remained silent, except for occasional movements heard off camera. The wind picked up slightly, and with it came sounds too subtle for the human ear to distinguish. The camera, however, continued to roll. Small knocks, distant rustling, and possibly faint vocalizations blended into the background, masked by natural forest ambience.
Somebody need it. Okay. Yeah, that tree, kind of amazing.
The sense of presence never faded. The YouTuber remained convinced that something was near, observing, possibly even responding. This wasn't a random occurrence, but part of a growing history of interactions. The gifts weren't being left in vain. Each return to the forest brought a stronger sense of recognition from the unseen. By the end of the visit, the weather began to clear. The gifting site was left intact, and any remaining food was carefully arranged. The YouTuber expressed hope that the offering would be received, and that trust, however fragile, would continue to build between themselves and whatever occupied this remote part of Seven Creeks.
Some of these videos you see, right? I'd imagine there are very few that are real. There's quite a bit of faked stuff out there, and I think the ones that are legitimate were happenstance. Whatever the situation, I don't know them, but it's about gaining their trust and them being comfortable enough with you and around you. They are coming forward. Sometimes they're here cloaked. We're seeing the reflections in my glasses, so they're right near to me. There's points where they're right in front of me, and we don't see them, but we see them in the reflections, right? A lot of people, there's a lot of people that won't go there. They don't want to believe that, but it's happening, right? It's happening. So they are here. They trust me. They trust me enough to be right here, right next to me. I've smelt them and heard them, right here around me. The wind's picked up here now. We're gonna move a bit away from these great big trees. I don't want anything falling on the top of my head.
This encounter may not offer a clear visual of a creature or a loud, unexplainable roar, but what it does provide is a consistent pattern, physical reactions in the landscape, coordinated animal behavior, and a sense of contact that feels more deliberate with every visit. It's not just the forest being alive, it's something within it responding. A YouTuber known as Banjar Balangan specializes in solitary nighttime rituals in remote and allegedly haunted regions of Indonesia. His content often features traditional offerings, spiritual invocations, and paranormal challenges carried out completely alone. But one particular video, set in a forest nearby, Banjar Balangan would push the boundary of his own fear. The YouTuber arrived deep in the woods, far removed from roads or civilization. The area is cloaked in darkness, lit only by the soft glow of his ritual fire. This wasn't a random location. It was chosen deliberately, based on local legends. Residents claimed this forest was home to repeated disturbances and sightings, including unidentified apparitions and disembodied sounds.
Jadi malam ini teman-teman kita mencoba ritual ya. Dari ritual malam ini kita mau pembuktiannya teman-teman. Pembuktian apa yang bilang warga sering terjadi sekali di sini, gangguan. Dan sering sekali juga kemunculan sejenis kayak apa ya, labur itu ya teman-teman. Lintas kadang melewati sini. Jadi malam ini kita coba bakar dupa. Ini ada darah ya, darah ayam hitam. Jadi nanti kita bakar semuanya sama terasi juga ya teman-teman ya. Teman-teman, ini kita bakar nanti semua di sini. Nanti kita sambil ritual, sambil pemanggilannya teman-teman. Ini kita coba bakar terasi juga. Karena kita penasaran ya teman-teman ya. Penasaran, jadi kebetulan ini di bawah pohon beringin ya teman-teman ya. Mungkin beringin, ini yang sedang mati pohon beringin ini. Kita cuma di sini coba pembuktian ya teman-teman. Jadi malam ini kita sendirian. Kita coba apa betul.
For this ritual, the YouTuber came prepared. He brought traditional offerings meant to summon or interact with forest spirits. He spread them carefully near the base of a withered banyan tree, a species long associated with haunted folklore and ancestral spirits. As soon as the smoke began to rise, there were distant rustlings, as if figures were moving between the trees, just out of sight. Behind him, there was the sudden onset of noise and something that sounded uncannily like feminine cries or whispers. But there was no one else there.
Jadi teman-teman di belakangku ini pohon beringin ya. Pas di belakangku ini pohon beringin. Tapi pohon beringinnya udah mati ya. Jadi yang timbul ini yang agak kecil-kecil lagi. Jadi yang kurasakan di sini teman-teman, di belakangku ini kayak ada orang kayak gitu. Kayak ada suara kresek-kresek itu dari tadi. Iya. Kayak suara mengaum, kayak suara ada perempuan macam-macam teman-teman. Nanti sebentar kita pemanggilannya. Kita coba memanggil apakah dia datang apa enggak. Ini angin teman-teman, ini angin mulai datang, padahal nggak ada angin. Merinding seluruh badan.
Though the YouTuber remained outwardly calm, the tension in the forest was undeniable. The tree he had chosen for the ritual, already dead and hollow, stood like a monument in the darkness. As the ritual progressed, physical sensations began to intensify. He continued with the offering, but the sense of safety was gone. That's when he noticed movement. From the corner of his eye, a shape darted through the trees. He turned sharply. Nothing. Moments later, the smell of rotting flesh and perfume, a familiar sign in many ghost tales of Indonesia, flooded the area.
Macam-macam baunya sudah teman-teman. Gila ya, sendirian tengah hutan, baru bawa dupa, bawa darah ayam, bakar terasi. Sumpah ini tantangan betul bagi saya. Iya, memang nggak mewujud dia, tapi yang kurasakan di belakang ini kuat betul teman-teman ini. Auranya kuat betul, panas sekali. Ya, kayak ada sesuatu yang menghampiri itu teman-teman belakang sini. Nah, dari tadi. Oke teman-teman. Jadi sudah kubakar semua. Ini dupanya mau habis sudah ya teman-teman. Kita coba ekspor di sekitar sini.
With his flashlight scanning the trees, he moved toward the source of the disturbance. And then, another shock. Human hair appeared on the ground near the ritual site, glistening with moisture. It hadn't been there before. It looked freshly torn and clung to the blood-soaked earth around the offering. Whatever had arrived wasn't just watching, it had come closer. Movement continued, branches snapping at random intervals, but no one appeared. The forest was both too quiet and too active at once, an unnatural contradiction that seasoned explorers recognized immediately.
Loh. Ini anginnya sudah mulai ribut. Teman-teman. Siapa? Siapa situ? Siapa ini siapa? Orang apa indah? Halo? Astaga, ada rambutnya. Ya Allah ya Rabbi. Siapa itu siapa? Astagfirullah. Habis teman-teman diambilnya ini.
Though he attempted to continue filming, the situation was clearly spiraling. Then came the decision. The YouTuber abruptly ends the session. With hair still strewn on the ground and an overwhelming presence pressing in, it was no longer safe to remain. He leaves behind the final remnants of the ritual, still smoldering near the old tree, and retreats into the darkness. Like always, let me know your thoughts on this encounter as well. On the night of Halloween 2023, a van lifer and content creator behind the channel Ads Ventures decided to mark the occasion with an unconventional celebration. Rather than parties or haunted houses, He and a few friends set out into the remote Welsh woods to host a movie night surrounded by trees, darkness, and whatever else might be watching. The plan seemed simple: meet up at a rural pub, convoy into the woods, and project a horror film onto a makeshift screen strung between trees. It was a modern twist on a classic camping experience, but what none of them expected was that the forest itself would end up being far more disturbing than the movie on screen.
Welcome to Halloween. This time last year, I didn't really have many mates, so my Halloween video I just went off into the woods on my own, as you do, explored a cemetery, saw a ghost, that type of thing. But this year, I have some new mates, the ones that I happen to meet through this thing that we call van life. So I'm currently on the Welsh border and we are meeting up, we're going to some haunted woods for the evening. But right now I'm actually at this place which is supposed to be a carvery, and I was going to meet Bruce here to get a quick meal before the evening begins. But as you can see, it doesn't really look very inviting. To be honest, it's actually giving me horror movie type vibes, so it's pretty fitting to start the video here. Look who's decided to show up. I told you I had mates.
Are we allowed to park here?
Don't know. I've got another mate as well. This is the pub I've been recommending to you, by the way. There's just a random hound here as well. He's been sat here for about 20 minutes. It's his car. Oh, look. He loves worms. Why didn't he tell me? Obviously, with this court case looming, I am not even risking touching this when I drive, even though it is fully legal because it doesn't transmit data apparently. But I'm not touching it if there are any policemen watching, but I'm going to listen in to the conversation. I've already been left behind, would you believe it?
Stay in convoy, stay in convoy.
Before reaching their final destination, small technical hiccups began to surface. One of the van's GPS systems dropped signal entirely, forcing the group to navigate without digital assistance. Mobile hotspots flickered in and out, and even walkie-talkies, devices that don't rely on cell service, began to fail without explanation. Still, they pressed on. The group arrived at their intended site, deep within the woods, and far from light pollution or cell towers. Despite the difficulties, the projector was eventually connected, and the eerie glow of horror cinema cast shadows across the surrounding trees. All seemed to be going as planned, until a sudden environmental shift shattered the calm.
Where's Elslo? Come here.
Listen, I know that this is gonna sound crazy, but Alley Cat said we can unveil ourselves. Okay, if we just surrender something to him that has personal meaning, something that we truly love. What the hell does that mean?
Without warning, a violent gust of cold winds surged through the clearing. It wasn't part of the weather forecast, and it didn't feel natural. The wind carried with it dust, leaves, and debris, all of which seemed to move in a singular direction toward the group. The camera, which had been recording steadily all night, captured the burst just moments before it completely shut down. No error message, no dead battery, just a full freeze and total failure. This wasn't just a technical glitch. The camera had over 70% battery remaining and had never experienced a failure like this before. Strangely, once they returned from the forest, it powered back on without issue the next morning.
And when I say the camera failed, I mean the camera failed. It was nothing to do with the battery running out. In fact, it still had about 70% battery before it happened. It just froze and shut down, and it would not switch back on until the following morning. Now, this camera's always been decent. It's never done that before. It hasn't done it since. And plus the fact that the walkie-talkie signal was failing, when walkie-talkies don't even rely on signal like phones do. They literally just use radio, so it doesn't matter where you are, they should still work. So that makes me think that something strange was definitely going on in those woods. And if you notice, the last clip that my camera filmed, just before it cut out, you can see like it was like a cold rush of wind just flew straight at me. It was so weird, it felt so out of place, and you can see it on the screen. You can see all the dust and all this madness just flying towards the camera, and then it cuts out. So I have to come to the conclusion that yes, those woods were indeed extremely haunted.
The final recorded footage, captured just seconds before the camera died, showed a massive distortion in the air, like static sweeping across the lens. The visual was fast, subtle, but unmistakable. It appeared almost as if the air itself had rippled, a sudden shift in pressure or energy that lasted no more than a few seconds but left a lasting impact. It's worth noting that this wasn't a horror movie being experienced. It was real time, real life, and felt far more paranormal than theatrical. There were no clear apparitions, no glowing eyes in the forest, no monstrous roars, just a series of mechanical and environmental failures, all stacked into a short, chaotic window of time that felt completely out of sync with the world around it. While the group continued the night with some hesitation, the memory of that unexplained burst lingered long after the forest had grown quiet again. For viewers, it became one of the most talked about moments on the channel, not because of what they saw, but because of what they couldn't explain. A solo outdoorsman from the channel Bushcraft Journey Camp ventured into the Norwegian wilderness for what seemed like a minimalistic overnight challenge. Known for embracing raw, no-frills survival, this trip would strip things back even further. No fire, no comfort, no narration, just pure isolation. The night is quiet, brutally cold, and unnervingly still. He sets up a simple tent deep in the woods, with nothing but essential gear and a white headlamp to pierce the darkness. There's no crackling fire for warmth, no flicker to drive back the shadows, only the cold and whatever lies just outside the light. The forest is silent, but not quite. Twigs break in the distance, and subtle movements stir the underbrush. The kinds of sounds that might be passed off as wind or wildlife, except they always seem to come from the same direction. Then another, then closer. The most disturbing element of this encounter is that there's no explanation offered, because there's no commentary at all. You're watching through the same lens he is, listening with the same ears, and when he suddenly pans his headlamp toward a noise, you instinctively hold your breath too. As the night progresses, the psychological weight begins to build. The tent walls feel thinner, the shadows move slower. Every sound feels deliberate, not chaotic, but careful, like something is testing the boundary between wilderness and shelter. No visible threat ever presents itself. There are no glowing eyes in the trees, no sudden movements caught on camera, but by morning it becomes clear. This was never about survival skills. It was about psychological survival. The cold may chill the body, but the silence tests the mind. What's terrifying here isn't what's seen, it's what isn't. No voiceover, no reaction. Just the dark, the sounds, and the growing sense that he wasn't alone. What did you think of this encounter? Like always, let me know. Uploaded on July 15th, 2025, this chilling camping experience documented by Paranormal Discovery unfolds in one of the most isolated, eerie landscapes they've ever filmed. A deserted gold mining ghost town buried deep in the Canadian wildlands. The location isn't new to them. In fact, it marks a return to a site already soaked in strange lore. What makes this forest even more unnerving is the presence of not one, but two ghost towns, both abandoned and swallowed by the woods. The official history speaks of economic collapse, but the terrain and energy suggest something less explainable. A force that doesn't want company. A place that pushes visitors out, not by violence, but by pressure.
This is a story that goes back to like I don't even know, the early century. I don't know, maybe back to that. Because back in the day, this used to be a gold mining town. This produced the second most gold in the province. So this was the second most productive gold mining town in its day. So it was busting, hustling and bustling like the whole way through. You can only imagine the energy left behind. And not to mention, this is the second ghost town that I was mentioning when Angela and I went to the Icelandic settlement and camped out in the cabin. So this is in the same wildlands as that. I will link that video down below, and I'll link our previous video here at Caribou Mines down below as well. So we're in the same wildland, but like just in a different ghost town. There's two ghost towns in this forest. Isn't that messed up?
It is.
So
I mean, there must be a for sure reason why both of them became ghost towns.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, maybe because like this is vast. So like, I mean, it's I don't know, it's just so weird because you have so much forest pushed that way, but all the ghost towns are literally here and like over there. So I don't know, it's a strange spot, but down to go to the campsite.
Yes, I'm hungry. Let's go make burgers and find this cryptid.
Let's do it.
From the moment they arrive, the tension is there. Phones lose signal. The air feels charged. What should be an ordinary daytime setup already carries a weight. As night falls, they set up camp. Burgers cooking, gear checked, laughter in the air. But underneath, something lingers. The forest grows quiet in all the wrong ways. Without warning, noises begin. Not distant rustlings, but defined, deliberate sounds. A metallic clank, as if a table was disturbed. The once quiet woods now echo with brief, sharp movements. It's unclear what's out there, but it's close, and it's watching.
What is going on out there?
What the?
What the This camera's still on. What time is it?
I have no clue.
Like the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Holy chills. Something's moving out there. There's no way. Was that the table? I literally just heard the rattle of the table.
I don't know. I heard a bunch of things, but I can half asleep.
What the fuck?
Okay, well, we gotta go out and check.
When the campers finally step outside to investigate, they find unsettling signs. Their table flipped, the fire pit collapsed, and a suffocating atmosphere hanging over their site. Something has moved through, and not just passing by. Whatever it was had intent. Even stranger is the repeated reference to an unseen presence. The group describes the sensation of being watched from all angles. The site feels surrounded, and though nothing appears clearly on camera, the group, one an empath, the other a practicing medium, insists the energy has shifted. Not residual, not passive, but active, intelligent, and unwanted.
Okay.
A what?
Our table's down. I knew it. The fire pit's caved in.
What?
Barbecue's still there. Our salad thing is down. The Blue Eddy's still there. I knew it. Our table.
Something knock over our table, or like did a gust of wind blow it down, or?
I don't know. There's no way. No, a gust of wind would not blow that down.
Yeah, because like our chair is still up, that tiny little chair in the cooler.
Charles, something came and did that.
Literally right next to us, like while we were sleeping.
What the? Holy hell. Like, this is actually messed up.
Careful.
just literally knocked over there.
Do you hear that too?
What?
Do you hear that? It sounds like Could be bullfrogs, but...
Their camp sits on what was once the second most productive gold mining site in the province. Now long abandoned, its prosperity lost to time and rumor. There's talk of cryptid legends tied to the area, unidentified beasts, possibly Bigfoot-like, that have stalked these woods for decades. But there's also something older, something spiritual, forces rooted in pre-colonial indigenous history, or possibly even older than that. In the final stretch of the night, the experience culminates in overwhelming unease. Shadows move just beyond the flashlight beam. Insects swarm, signs of wildlife increase, and yet the usual predators, coyotes, bears, are nowhere to be seen, as if even they avoid this place.
I don't know about you, but I'm starting to feel like we're in danger. Like if we stay, we're physically gonna be hurt or killed or something.
Whoa.
I mean, I'm just trying to I don't know. Like I'm just starting.
I mean, I guess I was the first one to bring it up with the whole last dinner thing.
Yeah, I mean, like.
If you're still watching, comment the hidden word awesome.
My nerves are shot, hon.
Okay, should we...
There's something out here, like, if we stay, I don't know if it's gonna break our car, or, like, try and get in, or hurt us. Like, I don't know, we're in a tent that, like, anything can get into.
Yeah, anything can get in. Okay, well...
They survive the night, but they leave changed. In their words, this was the most terrifying camping trip they've ever filmed. In a forest dense with history and heavy with unspoken rules, not everything needs to roar to be terrifying. Some forces just move the table, flip the fire pit, and watch quietly from the dark, waiting to see who dares return. With this final encounter comes the end of another episode. If you haven't already, let me remind you again to like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment about what you liked and didn't like about this video. We got a lot of content planned for you, so you better have subscribed, because trust me, you don't want to miss out. In about 3 seconds, there will be more disturbing videos on screen for you to watch. And with that, I'm out.